It's that time of the week. Yes, this week's Cult Movie Show, your weekly look at cult movies. Please welcome your hosts, Warren and Velvet.
Yes, it most definitely is that time of the week again. Welcome to podcast 31 of the Cult Movie Show. My phone just went ding. God, I thought I muted it. Never mind. I am, of course, Warren, and joining me, as always, my co-host, Velvet Rose. How are you, Velvet? Sorry, my mind just was because my phone just went all funny there. Sorry.
That was me. That was me again, bugging you. Sometimes I'll message you during the show just to throw you off. No, actually, I heard the intro during the show, so I was like, I don't usually have the pleasure of actually hearing the show's intro when we record, so I wanted to make sure we were on the up and up.
Oh, right. No.
This is, again, we just keep, bringing out all the hits here on the Cult Movie Show. We've got a little bit of something for everybody tonight. We've got one movie that I literally said I don't even know how to classify. We've got sci-fi. We've got horror. We've got a mini movie that I also kind of don't even know how to classify.
I'll give it a shot. I've got a bit of an idea, but it's no, it's gonna be a good show. We've got a pretty wide spectrum, I think, actually this week. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I'll tell you what, we only just made it, didn't we? I mean, we both. Velvet and I had so many internet issues today, trying to get everything sort of working. So, but we made it. They said we'd never make it, but we did.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. Yeah, you're just like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie now, so it's fresh for the show, and it takes you 3 hours to watch an hour and a half movie. True story.
I know. It's the wonders of the internet. Anyway. So I suppose we should kick it off, and should we start with our first film, Velvet?
Definitely.
Well, we've got an amazing offering, and this is from Italy, 1966. So you know it's going to be good if we mix the word Italy and 1966. And it is Wild Planet, one of the Gamma, movies. And we have, of course, done a Gamma movie before, because we, of course, did The Green Slime. And this is one of the earlier proper Italian ones before The Green Slime was made, obviously in Japan. So this one is a little bit different to the Green Slime, but anyway, we'll give you a quick run through. Now, it is set, of course, in the future, as all the Gamma movies are, and they are all set, of course, on these various space stations called Gamma. Now, this one is set on Gamma 1. Of course, we've had other ones on Gamma 2 and Gamma 3, depending on who the cast are. But this one is set on Gamma 1. And it is found that all these people start vanishing on Earth, and people can't quite work out why. So our hero, the Commander Mike Halstead, commander of Gamma 1, is put in charge of trying to find out why all these people are disappearing. And, they're not disappearing. Let's just say I think we can say this is from 1966. They're being harvested in some weird plot to create a new race of superhumans. And of course, our hero, the Commander Mike, will have to form a team of special agents and space people to try to stop this from happening. He also will have to try to rescue his girlfriend, Connie, who has been taken prisoner by Dr. Narumi, who actually has taken his girlfriend hostage, and of course, this will all take an hour and a half, but in the end, you know, we know that the Earth will be saved, you know, and
in 90 minutes,
you know, and Mike Holstead will, of course, become the hero. And what else can I really say?
Oh, you know what? We always tweet out throughout the week, you know, movie posters from the films we review, and this might be actually one of my favorite movie posters. Okay, so movie's called Wild Wild Planet. It's also known as Galaxy Criminals. And of course, it has the original Italian title that I'm not even going to try to say, but the poster for this movie like really sums it up nicely. It says stuff on there like the four-armed strangler, the menacing mutants, the deadly doll men, the flesh fusion experiments, the armada of spaceships. I mean, does it promise too much? No, this movie's for me, honestly, is a weird mixture of boring and action-packed.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird combination of somehow, like, it doesn't really hold my interest, but then all of a sudden it just, like, does all this random, weird, wild shit, and you're just kind of like, okay, now I'm paying attention again. And then, like, when your attention starts to wane again, they'll throw something else at you. Oh, look, it's the little deadly doll men. Oh, look, it's the flesh fusion experiments. Oh, look at the menacing mutants. Oh, look at the four-armed strangler. And
I know. Oh, my goodness. I suppose we should just give everyone the quick sort of rundown of how the Gamma movies worked. I think we mentioned it briefly on our Green Slime episode. And do we all remember the song?
That's a great song.
The Green Slime.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's great.
I don't know if we've ever posted that on Twitter. We really should post
the Buzz Tones.
Yeah, the Buzz Tones.
We'll post it again. Yeah, we'll have to post it again.
Yeah, and there was also a cover made by another all-girl band only a few years ago, yeah, which is absolutely fantastic. So we really should probably post both of them on our Twitter.
Yeah, the Buzz Tones one is actually in my favorites playlist on YouTube, so I have it ready to play anytime.
Oh well, I'll have to send you the link, Velvet, to the cover version, which and the film clip is just fantastic because they actually recreate scenes from the movie themselves, and it's really well done. But anyway, we're not talking about the Green Slime now. Wild Wild Planet was directed by Anthony Dawson, who would actually make a number of the Gamma movies from Italy. Now, the list of the movies, just so you know them all, is basically Assignment Outer Space, Battle of the Worlds, then Wild Wild Planet, which we're talking about today, and then War of the Planets. Now, Wild Wild Planet and War of the Planets would always star basically three people, and that was Tony Russell, who always played Commander Mike Holstead, Lisa Gastoni, who played Connie, his girlfriend, and also Franco Nero. Yes, he is in both of these movies, Franco Nero. And in this particular one, our evil doctor, now, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, is played by Massimo Serrato. I
Sounds
believe
good
it
to me.
Yeah, and of course the fifth movie in the franchise was of course The Green Slime, but it's not really technically sort of part of it because it was a Japanese movie. But it is, I mean, if you're a Gamma fan, then you're still going to include The Green Slime in your collection, I should say. But so Wild Wild Planet, I mean, did you find that you were getting incredibly bored, Velvet, or would it just get so funny with such shitty special effects?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I just was not, I was not drawn in by this, but like you said, the special effects were so shitty that it was funny. But like stuff like at the very beginning, they have like the astronauts on strings that are floating around, and they have like a little backpack on that's like got smoke coming out of it. So it's like they got a little smoking motor pack for the little astronauts on strings, and
oh god, yes.
And the models for everything in this look fucking cheap, but I liked them. But they were somehow somehow they were endearing. Just all the little buildings, all the little towns and everything. Every time a rocket ship took off, they had a tea kettle whistle as a sound effect.
Yes, I know.
Like somebody's brewing some tea every time the rocket ships take off. Another one that made me laugh was the futuristic concept cars look so stupid.
Oh, the cars. They look like something out of the Jetsons. They really do. And I don't know what they were based on, but I think they're honestly just based on little go-karts and they put a shell on them or something. Because I know in one of the scenes where they're meant to be, you know, in this high-speed pursuit, but these things are driving at about 3 kilometres an hour. But it's meant to be this high-speed pursuit in these super futuristic cars. And you can clearly see that they're driving around a racetrack because they're on a bank, you know, the banked turns on racetracks, you know, and you can actually see them. They're going on the banked turn. And the other thing too about that car chase, you notice that it starts at daytime and then it goes to night, then it goes back to daytime again, and then when they crash, it's nighttime again. It's like it's so out of order.
One of the things I did like about this was I did like the overall theme of the movie, which is basically science tampering with nature. You know, it's like, should you leave it alone or should you try to improve on it if you think you can with technology and what we consider science? I thought that was interesting. And also a lot of the women in this are quite strong. Like, you know, Lieutenant Connie Gomez, she, you know, basically teaches self-defense. So, you know, she's doing self-defense moves on people. And then there's a scene in the movie where a bunch of these, you know, mutant women are fighting the men. And at one point, like, this one guy's even like, 3 of you guys and 2 women, what's your problem? Because, like, the girls were kicking their asses and...
Oh, the women are
like,
really
kind of cool.
Yeah, the women are really kick ass in this.
Yeah.
They don't take any prisoners. They're every bit as equal, you know, with men. And this is 1966, but in saying that, there is still the idea that the woman will fall into the man's arms because the man will have to save her, you know, in the end, because she was just a silly woman who ran off with the mad scientist. And if she had been a man, then she would have known better. But no, she was a woman, so she got, you know. So there's still that sort of concept that's in it. You know, it's very much in it. But oh God, they're strong women. But that fight though, that is the shittiest, worst fight scene I think I have ever seen.
The fight the fight choreography is absolutely abysmal. It is terrible. I love the concept that the women are fighting, but no, it's shitty. But this whole movie was shitty, but it was entertaining. It wasn't shitty as in bad. It's just, like you said, cheesy, I guess is what I should be saying. Cheesy effects. Just, you know, and you're just kind of like, I was watching this kind of like, at one point, like literally during the movie, I'm like, okay, what are they going to come up with next? What are they going to come up with next? Because every time they would introduce something weird, they're like, we're not done. We got something else weird for you. I was like, oh my God. Just when they show the fucking, when they were like, I was calling it evaporating people, but yeah, harvesting's probably a better word, but it cracked me up because like, the guy has like this leather trench coat. He's wearing sunglasses and a hat. He looks like, you know, the stereotypical Men in Black, as we call them now. And he would just walk up to people and like open his coat like he's flashing them. But they would show it from behind. And then the person would like disappear and there'd be nothing but clothes left. And then there would be a woman that would follow him and collect the clothes and put them in a briefcase. And I'm like,
I know.
What is going on? Of course, you find out eventually what they're doing. And they even like harvest a child in this. And I was just like, dang, they harvested a child.
Well, they harvest everyone. They harvest everyone. And in fact, Mike Holstead gets a little bit pissed off because when they finally discover the harvesting list, like it falls into their hands, and Mike Holstead's not on it. And he's the star of our film, and one of his lieutenants, or lieutenants, basically sort of says to him, oh, I'm on the list. Oh, sorry, Mike, you didn't make it.
Oh my goodness. And also like this movie, they were like harvesting like a motherfucker too, because at one point they were saying at this current rate of disappearances, because people were disappearing, they didn't know they were being harvested, or as I was saying, they were evaporating out of their clothes is what it looked like. They were saying if it continues at this rate, we're going to have 6,000 disappearances a day. I'm like, damn, that's a lot.
Yes,
that's a lot of harvesting.
But the other thing too is that what I did like is that there is a spaceport that they're in at one stage, which is meant to be not like a military one, but a commercial one. It's the equivalent of an airport, of what we would view as an airport. And And I loved all the commercials that were playing. They had these futuristic commercials, and they were really interesting.
Well, it's also that reminds me of today, because we are constantly inundated with advertising now. I mean, that is how it is when you're in certain places out and about. You hear it over intercoms. There's fucking posters everywhere. There's little videos on the wall. I mean, I was like, wow, that's really, they were kind of telling the future right there, because that's kind of what it's like now when you go to certain planes.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, there was an advert in there to create your own pet. Like, create your own perfect pet, through cloning and whatnot. And there's this little kid was holding a puppy or a cat or something like that, and it's like, create your own pet now. It was, it was really quite interesting.
That creeps me out the more I think about that, because there would always be the one asshole person or the weird kid that makes like the dog with two heads or
yes.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, yuck. Yeah, please don't put that on the market, people. Don't do it. I don't do it. There's going to be weird creatures walking around. Don't do it.
But the other thing too that I absolutely loved, and I think this is a sign very much that this is an Italian movie, and that is the endless wearing of sunglasses. Now, the thing about it is that, okay, you would understand they'd be wearing sunglasses outside. That all makes sense. But not in this movie. They're Italian. They wear them inside. They wear them in the office. They even wear them in the space station.
Well, you find out later that they have cat's eyes, so they have to wear the sunglasses, or else it'll give them away. Cat's eyes.
Yeah. But it's just that.
Oh my god! Okay, I think one of the parts that made me laugh the most was when you found out that the guy that's like evaporating or harvesting all the people has 4 arms, and that just.
I know. I
was like, oh my goodness. No. And it was kind of weird, because they had that scene where like they had the people dancing at the theater, and it was kind of like this butterfly dance. They had like these costumes and these goggles that made them look like butterflies with giant wings. And then later you had the guy with the 4 arms, and I was kind of like, kind of like a butterfly. I was like, huh.
Yeah, no, they were interesting creatures that that they created. They really were, and they looked really nasty, with the sunglasses, the leather capes, and those little I'll just describe them as very Germanic-looking pointy hats. Although that's really not the case, because I know I hate it when, like, a lot of people, like for instance, the movies about, the bugs. Oh, God, what are they? It's about 3 of the movies. Oh, brain freeze, where they... they have to fight all the killer bugs. And what were those movies called again?
Bug exploitation. I don't even know.
I hate it when you have one of these moments.
Sorry, I'm not sure. I'm not well versed in the bug genre.
But anyway, I know in that a lot of people always talked about the fact that it's a futuristic world and it's a fascist world because they're all in these very Germanic uniforms. But that's not the case. I mean, obviously, Velvet, you've spent a lot of time in Germany, and if you go to all these other countries, that's just a style of uniform. So you go to Norway and they look a bit like that. You go to Switzerland, they look like that. It's not meant to be a fascist look. It's actually just a style, But I think the problem is for a lot of other non-Germanic style countries, they look at it and they go, oh, that looks really fascist. But no, it's not meant to be that at all.
No. Yeah, I didn't pick up that vibe from this movie at all. Yeah.
But I have heard somebody actually say that. So, no, but that's just a cultural thing. That's not meant to
Definitely.
be
Definitely. Well, if they watched, they really watched this movie in sincerity. Well, first off, you should never take this type of movie too serious.
No, never.
Off, and also if you really did sit down and watch it, you would see this is definitely not a movie about fascism, at all. This is just, some sci-fi deranged scientist wants to make, he doesn't really want to make a master race, so to say. I mean, he wants to create the perfect human, but it's not about, he's not politically or racially or religiously motivated. It's just, he just thinks that mankind, period, could be better. So, I mean, it's not a, I don't know.
No, you're exactly right. It's not, he's not trying to create, a master race to conquer the world. He is just trying. He thinks he can improve humans to be perfect, and then he wants them to be the new like Homo superior, if you like. But he doesn't want to be king of the universe or anything. And in fact, the weird thing he does too is that he wants to bond himself with Connie to make a half male, half human super being, which is really kind of weird. I mean, yeah,
that was one of the things where I was just like, what? I was like, what are you doing, dude? Yeah, that was odd. I was just like, oh, yeah, okay. I'm glad they foiled his plans and that didn't happen, because that just might have been strange looking. Because he had a lot of failed experiments in this movie. He had a whole room full of deformed people that were failed experiments, and he called that his private hell. And we had the joy of seeing them all moan and groan and be in pain and look deformed. And then there's a part where like some guy has like a fucking tray of like fucking guts and hands and elbows and whatever, and he's like, oh, those are scraps. And they're just like literally throwing away body parts into the garbage. And I'm like, oh, that's gross.
I know. I know. But it's interesting, the way they do it all. The other thing too is, was it just me, or did you think that the actor, Massimo Serrato, who plays the Dr. Narumi, did you think that he has a striking resemblance to the British actor Rex Harrison? Or was that, Rex Harrison from, like everyone will remember him from My Fair Lady and all of that.
I'm not sure. I didn't catch it. It
was maybe just me. But,
I'm not always the best at recognizing faces. So if you say that, there's probably some similarity. I'm really bad at recognizing faces sometimes. Like, I'll watch entire movies and not until the fucking credits come up and I'm reading the credits, I'll go, he was in this movie? And then I have to go look at the character and I'm like, oh, that was like, so if you say somebody looks like somebody, they probably do, and I just didn't catch it.
Yes, I don't know. It might have just been me, I don't know. It might have just been me. But the other thing too, did you notice that the guns they use in this?
I was literally just thinking that. I was going to bring it up. The flamethrower pistol.
They're flamethrowers.
Those are awesome.
And when they shoot people, they set them on fire. I mean,
they had and I love how the people that they were setting on fire, I mean, God forbid, of course, you're not going to really set people on fire in this movie, but they were wearing flame retardant clothing, and you could literally see, they were like, okay, make sure you shoot them right there on the flame retardant. Like right there, you could literally see where it would burn specifically in that area, so that the actual person wouldn't get burned. And I just thought that was so funny. I was like, yeah, those flame thrower pistols, I want one. That's roast some fire up a candle, roast some marshmallows. You're out in the woods, want to start a fire. Like a campfire.
Campfire, yeah. Just draw out your
not
pistol.
Burn down the woods, just a campfire.
Well, I suppose it was 1966. So this was made pre. Fire, what are they called? Fire gels that they use today.
Oh,
like the liquid fire gels where you can literally set somebody on fire and they won't burn. So this is obviously pre that technology. So they need to be very specific with where they light the fire. But could you just imagine the whole concept of it, right? Futuristic guns. I mean, a bullet is obviously a horrendous thing, right? But can you imagine if someone shoots you, you get set on fire? I mean, what a hideous way. I mean,
plus that's just a dangerous ass stunt, to be honest. Because during that scene, the movie, people are running around like crazy and they're shooting these miniature flamethrowers. I'm like, my God, Italy.
Well,
but they wanted to keep you interested. They knew how to keep you interested. Just when you thought you were getting bored, they're like, look what we got. Flamethrower pistol.
Because I always originally thought that the style of pistol that they were using was sort of meant to be a very cheap-ass thing of a laser beam. It was, but no, they're actually flamethrowers. They actually set them,
Because I was waiting to see the laser. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see the lasers in this goofy movie. And then all of a sudden, just a big-ass flame came out. I'm like, oh, shit, that's a flamethrower.
Oh, yes, it is just, it is absolutely hilarious. So, but we should also say that, if you do check this out, and you do like it, it's probably worthwhile checking out the other Gamma movies that we mentioned. As we said, there's basically 5 of them in total, although Assignment Outer Space is... It's not really it was just his first shot at doing one of these movies. It's not really a Gamma movie, although it sort of gets thrown into the mix. Start with Battle of the Worlds and then work your way through. But so if you like this one, check the rest of them out. But we have to say that for listeners who have watched The Green Slime that we talked about, you will find that the model making in The Green Slime is actually not too bad, because of course it was all done by the Japanese. But you'll find the model making, as we said, in this is appalling. It is so bad. Oh, it is. Yeah, it is so bad. I mean, that's the scene where they send the little flying, when Mike Holstead gets arrested. He gets arrested by the police. Okay. And anyway, so they go and they break him out. And they lower this rope, and he's climbing up this rope into this like flying car that they've got. And it is the most cheap ass thing. It is literally like a doll hanging from a string from a model spaceship. It is so bad.
Speaking of doll, I definitely laughed out loud when they found the briefcase and they realized, like, all these people that they've been harvesting, they're making miniature people and putting them in these briefcases. And like they just open up the briefcase and it's like a limited edition collector's edition of Barbie dolls.
I know.
It was. It just made me Barbie dolls. So bad.
I know.
They're like miniature people. And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
I know.
Yeah, because that's what they do. They harvest all the good stuff and put them in doll size form until they're ready to use all the goodies and make some better people. It's ridiculous.
But it's just absolutely hilarious. Just when one of the his team opens up this bag and it's full of all these Barbie dolls, right? And he's there and he's goes on, oh my god, miniature people. And he like has this like mental breakdown on seeing 4 Barbie dolls in a suitcase. It's so cheap, but but I suppose that's the fun of it. I suppose maybe the fun of it is that it's cheap, Yeah,
because like I said, this movie was, like I said, the pacing on this is rather dull. I found this movie actually a little boring, but then it got to the point where I was just like, okay, I can't wait to see what they do next, because they kept coming up with all this weird shit, like, oh my god, the pistols are flamethrowers, that guy's got 4 arms, oh my god, look at the freaks. Yeah, I mean, just like, oh, look, miniature people. I mean, it kept going and going, like, it got to the point where you just want to see what they come up with next, like, what's going to happen now? What else are they going to introduce? But the pacing, like, I remember like 15, 20 minutes in, I was like, God, what is anything going to happen in this movie? Because it was like just like a kind of lot of talking, kind of just setting up the characters, kind of get you familiar with everybody. They're kind of mentioning that some people are going missing, but I was kind of like, where is this going? But then they start hitting you with all their goofy ass, special effects and creatures and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, this is fun. Now this is entertaining. But even then, like I said, the story, it just stalls somehow. Like the dialogue just doesn't grip me. I don't know if maybe it's just a bad dub. Like, because, these films, I mean, these people, I don't know. Some voices are weird on some of the people, so I think that's part of it. It just sounds hokey. And also, honestly, like, this is a movie that needs to be remastered because it's so fuzzy and unclear sometimes. It's not attractive to look at. And so many of these movies from, 60s and, before that have been remastered. So they're nice and clear and they got all the fuzz off the frames and that kind of stuff. This is a movie that's a good candidate.
Well, I was actually going to say, Velvet, that it has been.
Okay, because I looked at a copy. The copy I watched wasn't remastered. It makes such a big difference. Yeah.
No, you'll actually find that basically Battle of the Worlds, War of the Planets, and Wild Planet have the prints which are available if you buy them are actually they're actually pretty good. They're actually pretty good prints. So I don't know if they've been sort of remastered as such, but they've definitely been cleaned up.
Right.
They're not too bad to watch. The other thing too is we should point out is that even though these movies are Italian, they are all in an English dub. In fact, I don't even know if you'd be able to find an Italian version unless you live in Italy. And even in Italy, you probably find it's in English now, so...
Yeah, because like I said, like that combination of like the bad, it's not necessarily bad, but some voices just don't go with certain people's faces, and it just distracts you. It just sounds weird. And then like in my case, if you don't have a good copy and it's just kind of fuzzy and it just makes it unattractive to watch, and you're just kind of like, ooh, just like, oh, this is so old. Like, why is it that Creature from the Black Lagoon looks like fucking HD and black and white, but this from 1966 looks like, you know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
it's I know that if there is a channel, I think it's pretty much international. I think it's still going. Is it Turner Classic Movies?
Oh yeah.
Now, this movie, Wild Wild Planet, will often show up on Turner Classic Movies. So,
nice.
So if you've got that channel, watch out. It will often turn up there. And so also will War of the Planets. Because as we said, these are the ones that star both Tony Russell and Lisa Gastoni. So
nice.
They revived their roles. So in other words,
cool.
They play the same characters and pretty much the same. They're a dysfunctional boyfriend and girlfriend. It always seems to be the same in both movies. It's like he's in love with her, but he's the commander, so he can't show too much affection. And, and she's this really, really talented, science, martial arts person. But of course she wants to be shown affection, but of course Tony won't show her affection. So she'll often try to make him jealous by flirting with other men. And it's exactly the same in every film, It's exactly the same in every film. So how would you rate this one, Velvet?
Okay, so this is definitely watchable. I mean, it's definitely just to see all the crazy creatures and just this crazy, plot line. But the actual, storyline and the pacing of the film definitely knocks it down a few points for me. So out of a possible 5 Eric Roberts, I'm going to give this 2.5 Erics.
Okay. I am going to be very similar. Actually, I think on the Eric Roberts scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to go the same. Actually, I'm going to go 2.5 because it definitely is a passing grade. It is fun. There are lots of funny bits in this. Not intentionally funny. They're just so cheap and nasty. They're funny. Definitely it's a passing grade, but. Oh my God, the special effects are absolutely appalling. And it does tend to drag on a little bit, but I still love it. It's still classic cult sci-fi watching. Definitely, I'll give it a 2.5.
Okay, fair enough.
That's a passing grade though.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's probably time that we'll quickly go to a break because we've got some kids screaming outside the front.
They're being harvested.
That's right. Quick, get Commander Mike Holstead.
Hurry, run, kids, run.
Run. We'll send Connie. She'll con fu them. That's all right. All right. We'll be right back after this quick break.
It's time to get excited, short film fans. It's mini movie review time.
It most definitely is, and you found us a real winner this time, Velvet. What did you find for our audience this week?
Okay, this is a really, really, really fun short film, and it is just crazy. It is called Kung Fury, and it is from 2015. And the way I even saw this was it was actually promoted on Netflix when it came out, and I was just like, and I remember I saw it and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I might have to watch that later. And one day when I sat down to watch it, I realized it only went for 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, this is a short film. What is this? It's crazy how much goes on. So this runs a little longer than most of the short films we review on here. It does run about 30 minutes. But yeah, it's, if you take the extra time for this little mini movie, you're not going to regret it. So it's an English language, Swedish martial arts action comedy short film, written, directed, and starring David Sandberg. So yes, Kung Fury is the writer and director of this movie. And it's, and I can't even really spoil this one. I mean, this one you can't even really spoil because you have to see it. But basically, it is an homage to 80s pop culture. So if you like 80s pop culture, this is full of it. Also gaming culture, so like retro video game consoles, arcade machines. If you like that kind of stuff, there's a lot of references in there. This is also just like the 80s, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, Rambo, Terminator, just like all these like ultra alpha macho men. That's like, there's always that one guy that like the entire police force relies on this one guy to save the entire city every time. But then there's just like all kinds of random, crazy silliness. So, I mean, it first starts off that basically a arcade machine, a video game, an arcade machine goes rogue and starts killing people, so they have to call Kung Fury to take down this, arcade machine. But then it turns out this arcade machine was sent from the past to the future by Adolf Hitler to run amok. So they got to go back to the past to kick Hitler's ass. And let's not forget about Triceratops, because you gotta have your sidekick. I mean, I don't even know how to explain this movie's plot.
Oh, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Hand it over to you and hear your
no, keep going. Keep going.
Warren, and get your opinions. I wanted to mention what's really fun about this is actually a crowd-funded short film. And originally they had a goal of $200,000. I mean, that's already a huge budget for a short film, but it ended up getting over $500,000, over $600,000. So this is a $600,000 budget short film, and they did not waste any of that money. They went fucking crazy in this short. So what did you think of this short, Warren?
I have to admit, we've done quite a few short films on this one, and this is by no means the best acted, the best written, the most dramatic, or any. We've had some beauties, some really great ones, in the past. But this, without any doubt, was the most fun I have had watching a short film ever. This is so well thought out. It's so well put together. It's a combination of CGI and blue screen, and it is it is absolutely hilarious. The endless one-liners, which are in this, the endless really crappy 80s jokes that you used to get on 80s television, I just pat with this. And the whole short film is actually, and I think one of the reasons why it is 30 minutes, is that it's filmed as a 1980s cop adventure. It's actually filmed in that style, and it's, and if you're trying to get what I'm trying to say here, think of Knight Rider, think of, shows along those lines, right? And this is what you've got. But then we've thrown in time travel and everything is accurate to the 80s, the computers, the idea of the mobile telephones in it, a 1980s bricks. It's and then it's got the craziness of one of the cops is a triceratops, and we've got talking dinosaurs, and we've got this time scale that makes no sense, that the Vikings lived with dinosaurs and dinosaurs had laser beams for eyes. It is so funny, and it is so fast paced, and it is almost down acted. It's almost underacted. Like, the acting looks a bit bad, but trust me, they're not bad actors. They're actually doing it intentionally.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, oh my God, the fucking fight scenes in this are endless, and they're hilarious. They're just so ridiculous, because it's kind of like, in all those action films, how the hell is Rambo, killing millions of people, and he survives every film with barely a scratch, that kind of stuff. The fucking guy who plays Hitler in this is actually really funny, and they don't call him Hitler. Well, they do, but they also call him Kung Führer.
Kung Führer, I know, Kung Führer.
And there's this is a Swedish production, so they managed to slip some Swedish language in there. It's really funny. There's a scene where it shows two Nazis talking to each other, and one Nazi has this goofy-looking blonde mustache, and the other Nazi's making fun of him. They're not speaking German. One is speaking...
Yes. I know. I noticed that too.
And the other one is speaking German with a really bad Swedish accent. And it's just so funny because it's just like all these weird little things in the movie. Hacker Man, I mean, that character just cracks me the fuck up. That he's the best hacker in the world. He can hack you into the past. He can hack you into the future. It's just like, how did they come up with this stuff?
Well, it's so beautiful because it's like, do you remember all those movies from the 80s? I mean, like, for instance, Tron, you know, the whole idea that there were people living inside your computer and you could actually go inside your computer as a human, you know, so, I mean, and you know, so all those ridiculous ideas that were around in the 1980s, and this short film just plays with them all so well.
Yes.
Even the titles of where they're introducing the characters is exactly like a 1980s action-adventure TV show. You know, it's like, you know, just the way, you know, they even swing around and then, you know, and then their name comes up as in the title. It's just, it's so well done. It's so well thought out. It is one of the best short films I have seen in... Well, when I say best, as I said, we've talked about some really beautifully acted, beautifully shot, you know, all the rest of it. But this is just hilarious fun for 30 minutes.
It is so entertaining, ridiculously entertaining. And you're constantly like laughing. You're constantly going, what? Oh, no way. Like, what is that? Like, but in a good way. It's just funny. They actually made a companion video game to go with this.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, like, so if you love the short, you can go play the video game. It's called Kung Fury Street Rage. And so if you like stuff like Double Dragon back in the 80s, then or One Finger Death Punch, these kinds of video games from the 80s, you will like this. And I've got some good news for you, Warren. You want to hear some good news?
Oh, yes.
They are working on a Kung Fury 2. They are making a sequel.
Oh, fantastic. I just cannot wait. I mean, one of the things when I started watching this and I thought, okay, it's cheesy and it's a bit funny. And it wasn't until the real dialogue started that I realized just how funny this was. I mean, when our star, Kung Fury is explaining to the audience how he became Kung Fury, and he's a police officer in Miami who simultaneously gets struck by lightning and bitten by a cobra. I mean, how does that happen walking down the street of Miami?
So deadpan. They say it's so deadpan, like that happens all the time. Like that's a normal thing. I was like, he got, he got hit by lightning, bit by a cobra, normal.
It's just and it's also great because those 80s comebacks. It's like it's like diplomatic immunity has just been revoked. And all that classic stuff that you got in the 80s. And they do it in this, but they do it. But he gets it wrong all the time. That's what I love about it. So a baddie will come up with some great line, and of course you expect our star to then come back with a comeback, but he doesn't. Like he gets the comeback wrong, or he gets it mixed up, it's so much fun. And I absolutely loved it. One thing it really reminded me of, Velvet, and that is that if people watch this and they liked it, then I've got to recommend people to go and hunt down, it's very easy because it's free domain on YouTube, a television show called Danger 5.
I remember you showed this to me. Yeah.
It is a very, very similar show, and it runs for 2 seasons. There's like about 12 episodes.
Okay, I'm going to have to actually check it out because I looked at the trailer and I was like, but now after seeing Kung Fury, I'm kind of like, I might like this Danger 5.
It's very similar, and they do the same thing. In fact, I do wonder whether the maker of Kung Fury, whether he had actually seen Danger 5, because there are a lot of very similar things. Like, for instance, the half animal, half human people. That was all done in Danger 5, where you would have humans with a lion's head or an eagle's head or something like, and for absolutely no explanation. You know, they just were there. Like, they had a Kung Fu master in that who was a lion, but he was a human, just had a lion's head, still had human hands and everything, you know. So if you like this, check out Danger 5. Or if you like Danger 5, then you'll definitely love this.
Yeah, no, this is hilarious. It's definitely, if you need a laugh, if you like 80s pop culture, I mean, if you like just this really screwball, frenetic, crazy stuff, I mean, you'll love this. You'll love this. I actually showed this to a family member, and they were just like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" Like, they loved it too. So it's almost it almost transcends age, I think, to be honest. So if you're a teenager, or if you're an adult, or if you're even like, you know, up there in years, you'll probably enjoy this, especially if you remember the 80s. I mean, this definitely has that high nostalgia factor, which, you know, we love nostalgia, and something like this that pokes fun at it and just makes you kind of go, "Oh yeah!" But
I know.
But it keeps you on your toes though, because you don't know what's coming next. This thing's just crazy. It's really fast paced, which I think is also really fun. Because I mean, the second one that they're making, they're actually planning on making a full feature-length movie, and I'm like, they could totally do it.
Oh, I mean, without doubt. But
I'm wondering if they would be able to keep this. But I'm like, would they be able to keep this kind of pace for an hour and a half? Because my God, because it'll probably feel like you're watching it for only half an hour instead of 90 minutes if they keep it at this pace. Because there's like so much going on, you don't have time to get bored at all.
Well, it's not just a movie. I actually reckon this would translate to short-run TV episodes.
Totally.
I really do believe that this would work so well as a TV show. It was every week you'd have a new ludicrous adventure, with, you know, and of course, and you'd always have Hitler as the enemy, and it would work so well. The only problem with doing that is it does then become dangerously similar to Danger 5. So, but then again, who cares? What does it matter? A good idea is a good idea, you know. A good idea is a good idea. But we should also just quickly say that this movie actually was put up in the Directors Fortnight competition at the Cannes Film Festival, and it got second place.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
so that's not
short.
bad.
So yeah, for a short, that's amazing.
So
exactly.
that's not too bad. And the other thing too, as we were saying, that, you know, this is an homage to the 80s. And if we mentioned Knight Rider, or I mentioned Knight Rider at the start. Now there is a cameo in this short film. I mentioned Knight Rider, didn't I? Can I say it? I don't think it matters if I say it, does it?
Oh no, you can let them be surprised.
Let them be surprised.
Yeah,
all right.
Go for it. Say it. Either way. Now they really want to see it.
What should I say the name or?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. This actually does have a cameo from the Hoff. Yes, David Hasselhoff is in this film. Okay, so it's just brilliant. It is really good.
This movie even has an 80s style cartoon segment in it. I mean, this is a short film, 30 minutes,
yes.
and they've got everything in here, and it's just hilarious.
If you remember, like Masters of the Universe and cartoons like that. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Yeah, it is just it's got it. It's what's that line? Yeah, this has got everything. It's just it's brilliant. So no, it's a thumbs up from me. This is really
definitely
really worth seeing.
I knew we would have to do Kung Fury eventually, and I was like, oh my God, I keep forgetting. Yeah, let's do Kung Fury. Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
And it is readily available on YouTube too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, yes, and this actually was. I mean, that's what's cool about this too. It was a Kickstarter project. They raised over $500,000, so over $600,000, and it was always with the goal of being streamed for free. So I mean, they put it on YouTube, they put it on Netflix in the United States. I mean, they have always made this a free to view project, which I think is really cool.
Oh yeah, love that. Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. So this is one definitely check out without a doubt.
Kung Fury.
Oh, you will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed.
Kung Fury.
Yes. Although you will see the Kung Fury.
You will see Kung Fury. That makes me laugh every time.
Oh, it is good. All right. Well, I suppose we will take a quick break, and we will then be back with movie number 2. And oh my God, I know I'm talking through the intro or the thing again. Oh, who cares? I'll just talk through it. This will blow your mind. Okay, well, we've been to Italy. We then moved on to Sweden. And now we're back in the United States. And maybe not the best offering the United States could give, but my God, this is fun. At least I thought it was fun in a very bad sense of the word. Now, it is from 2012 called Inara-The Jungle Girl. And it was directed and written by Patrick, Desma Taras, I think it is, and it stars Carly Danger, and I don't really know what to say. I'll just give everyone a quick rundown, and then we can really slice this one up because, oh my God, is the only word I can really use. Now, it starts off basically. I could go into huge detail, but I won't. But basically, it starts off with our young star, Carly Danger, who learns that her father has died, and he was a mercenary. And anyway, one of the father's friends, a family friend who runs the mercenary group, comes to Inara, played by Carly, and offers her a job as a mercenary because her father has taught her how to be this kick-ass, ninja sort of warrior type thing. So she goes off on this mercenary mission to go and basically rape and pillage the island of the Amazonian women, so they can rip out all their iron ore and drill for oil and all the rest of it. Well, the plane crashes on the way and she gets captured by the Amazon women, and then she starts to side with the Amazon women, and she will help lead them to fight the mercenaries and to defend the island of the Amazon women against the evil male oppressors. And that's pretty much the movie.
Yeah, you summed it up quite well.
What did you think of this?
You know what? If you have seen Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, this movie is nowhere near as good as that. This makes Sheena, Queen of the Jungle look like an absolute masterpiece, and I do like that movie. This movie is nowhere near that. The jungle is quite obviously a forest.
Yes.
All the mercenaries are fucking out of shape slobs.
Yes.
Short guys, fat guys. I've written so many notes on this, I still don't even know where to start. It's entertaining because you just don't know where this movie's going. As usual, any movie that I've not seen that we review for the show, and this is a movie I had not seen that we reviewed for the show, or reviewing, I did no homework on it, so I have a clean slate. I don't have any prejudiced opinions or expectations. I'm only going off the name of the movie, Inara, the Jungle Girl. I didn't have any expectations, so I was just kind of wondering where this movie was going, and it's a mess.
It is.
Movie is a mess. It is a mess, and it literally has the worst casting I think I've ever seen in any movie. The worst casting I think I've ever seen in any movie. The whole tribe of women. It's supposed to be, a jungle. And these are like, at first, when they first introduced the jungle women, then they start calling them Amazons, but I'm pretty sure they're not in the Amazon jungle. Anyways.
Well, no. Well, we should actually point out, this is often a misconception. Amazon women don't come from Brazil.
There you go.
So,
Okay,
so for anyone who gets, I know a lot of people get confused about this. Amazon, actually, I'll explain that later. You keep talking.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because, again, worst fucking casting I think I've ever seen in a movie because these are beautiful women. No way, they are not strong looking. They are not muscular. They are not domineering. They are just sexy and feminine and wearing makeup and sexy bikinis. That's what I got to say.
That's
so,
exactly right.
So if you want eye candy, this movie's got it. If you want to see a lot of crotch shots, between the legs, this movie's got it. You want zoom-ins on the ass while they're beating up people, this movie's got it. But the fight choreography is horrible. The casting, I keep coming back to that because when they first introduced these so-called Amazonian women, they are all Caucasian, but then all of a sudden they start sprinkling in other ethnicities, and I'm like, what the fuck? So before they started sprinkling in the other ethnicities, and I thought it was like a straight-up tribe of Caucasian Amazonians, I was like, what is this, the fucking tribe of Sheena? But then they start bringing in some of the other ethnicities, and I'm like, this casting is so distracting for me. It is all over the place. Really minimized my enjoyment of this film. And then I didn't like the whole where is this jungle thing because they kept showing a bald eagle, which, I'm not the best in and when it comes to, all the animals of the world and where they live and what they are, but I'm pretty sure American bald eagles don't hang out in the jungle. I gotta point that out.
Well, I haven't. This was all shot in the United States. I don't know where.
Oh yeah, totally. In the forest.
In the forest. I don't know, Virginia or somewhere like that. It was not. I think so. Yeah. It doesn't really look jungly at all. It has to be said. But one of the reasons I think why the acting is so bad is that 99.9% of the actors in this movie are not actors.
Exactly.
They're just people.
Is horrible.
They're just people. Even the main star, Carly Danger, is not an actress.
Right.
She's a professional wrestler.
Yes.
So, and you may, I don't know if you ever watched, there was an MTV sort of reality show called Ring Divas. And she was actually one of the stars of that TV show. So, she's basically a wrestler / reality star. Not an actual actress. Although she has made 2 movies, she would go on after this and also star in Athena, Goddess of War, which is actually made by the same production company. But
that does not surprise me.
Yes, but it's typical Amazonia. All the women basically are in bikinis or very, very skimpy outfits. And of course they're defending their territory against the evil men. So it's that pretty much that typical story that we've grown up with about, Amazon women, which of course we've now got 100% wrong because this is not how Amazon women all started. It's interesting how it's all changed. And I was just going to very, very quickly say, because of course the history of the Amazon woman is of course from ancient Rome, where, and they took the stories originally from the ancient Greeks, where there was this supposed mythical tribe of all women warriors who would go when they would capture men, to reproduce with, and then they would go and they would slaughter villages, they would rob, they would pit. They were like Vikings, but they were all women. And they were supposedly meant to be from that sort of part of the world that we would now call sort of Bulgaria, Romania, in that sort of part of the world. The problem is that in today, because of course of the Amazon forest, a lot of people now believe that this idea of the Amazon women come from Brazil, and it's not the case at all. They come from Eastern Europe. Now, originally, all the stories from Greece and then Rome and then would go on through history was that the Amazon women were not nice. They were real evil bitches. They would destroy entire villages, slaughter everybody. They were actually really, really nasty. They were sort of a group of people that, the idea of, you would tell kids, if you're not good, the Amazon women will come for you, so you better eat your vegetables. They were sort of used like that, in ancient times. But as time has progressed, the idea of the Amazon woman has now been a statement of feminism. And so the Amazon woman now almost represents this idea of, as I said, feminism, of basically women's rights, about women proving that, you know, they are every bit the equal of men and they can run their own societies by themselves. They don't need men. They might need them to reproduce, but otherwise they don't need men. So the whole idea is that what we call an Amazon woman today is totally different to what we called an Amazon woman 2,000 years ago. So
exactly.
Brief history
And this
lesson,
movie got it
up.
all wrong. And this movie got it all wrong.
So this movie basically does the modern version of the Amazon, not the So anyway, I'll move on.
No, it's just, oh my goodness. This movie was, first off, it's fucking cheap. I mean, we had to put that out there. I mean, it does have its special, not effects. I don't know. It's cheap.
It doesn't have any special effects. It's just.
That's what I was like, yeah, there's no special effects. I'm like, yeah, there's like a fucking sword fight in this movie, or there's a bunch of them, and there's no blood. But this movie has a weird combination of, okay, there's no blood. The fight scenes are horribly choreographed. They're not well choreographed at all. Anytime somebody punches somebody, it's always like, you know, you can tell the punch is not landing. I mean, obviously it's not going to be real because it's a movie, but still, it just looks fake as fuck. But at the same time, this movie, like, you see no blood, you don't see any punches actually landing, any actual violence, but then they talk about some of the worst shit on the planet. Like, in the very beginning of the movie, this guy's bragging about raping a woman who's holding a baby, and then later they shoot a kid to death. The mercenaries like murder a child, and I'm like, God damn, for a movie that has no blood in it, they really like talked about some of the, and implied some of the worst shit. And then also there was that dream sequence with the guy that hires Inara to be a mercenary, and he has that dream sequence, and the guy that's in his dream alludes to necrophilic rape as a possibility, and I'm like, what the fuck is up with this movie?
Well, it's I think there's a reason for all of this, and it goes back to what we were just talking about, the idea of the modern Amazon woman, and that is that it's a feminist statement. It's that the idea that women are good, men are evil. Oh, now, okay, that's not really a feminist statement, but that's not really what I mean. But it's meant to be showing, you know, that idea that it's playing with that idea. So basically, all the women in this are incredibly good-hearted. All the men are evil as fuck, and that's just what they're trying to show, you know. But they do it in such a cheap ass way that
exactly. The language, they couldn't even make up their mind with the fucking language. So whenever Inara first like crash lands, yes, of course she's in a helicopter with her, you know, teammate mercenaries, and the helicopter crash lands, and she gets captured by the Amazonians. And at first they're speaking a foreign language. Then all of a sudden they switched, at first they're speaking the fucking foreign language with subtitles, which I was like, well, that's weird. Why would you subtitle it? Because how is, I guess, the omnipresent, you know, narrator or whatever is the one who's going to be like, oh, here's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they switched to fucking English, and I'm like, oh, they speak English now. Then later in the movie, there's a part where Inara is speaking English, and all of a sudden now she needs an interpreter. So every time she speaks English, there's a woman standing next to her, interpreting what she's saying into the foreign language so everybody else can understand her. And I'm like, make up your mind, movie. Either subtitle, foreign language, or everybody speaks English. Pick a fucking language. Pick a form of communication. What are you doing?
It's all over the place. It changes. I know. And for no rhyme or reason. It just changes, you know, all the time. But one thing that must be pointed out is that definitely, if you want to see some hot men, this is not your movie. These are the most out of shape, you know, mercenaries you will ever see. But then again, I think that's done intentionally because they're the bad people, and if you make them attractive, then it spoils it. Where all the women are absolutely gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. So I think that casting has actually been done very intentionally. Evil men, good women sort of thing. So
Oh my God! There's a scene where they're fucking dancing, like they're doing, I guess, tribal. You can't see my finger quotes, but I'm saying tribal with finger quotes, dancing, and they are covered in oil. That is some glistening skin. Can I say that?
Oh yes. It's
and the bikinis. Oh my goodness! You know what? You thought Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, you thought her outfit was sexy. These girls' outfits leave nothing to the imagination. I was just like,
this is this is basically a Rio Beach. They are wearing the skimpiest bikinis that you have ever seen, which cover almost nothing. I mean, quite literally cover almost nothing. And that's just the outfits for the entire movie.
There's even a scene where the young little girl who later gets murdered and they need to avenge her death, steals Inara's bikini top and takes off running. So Inara has to chase her with, covering her, breasts with a hand bra style. And I'm thinking, you know what? If that was a little boy that stole her bikini top, I'd get it. But I think it's odd that a young little girl would steal a woman's bikini top. And it was obviously scripted just to get a little bit of extra, teasing and TNA without really showing anything.
I think it was really
odd.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was really just an excuse to get Carly Danger to show a little bit more flesh, without actually going topless, but you can sort of think in your mind, oh God, well, she really is topless, you know what I mean? So I think it was just that, just sort of trying to push all of that. The other interesting thing, just speaking of her, is that at the very end of this movie, they show a lot of the outtakes and shots from filming and,
I'm not even gonna lie. Once I hit the credits, I turned it off. I'm like, I'm done. I'm like, I watched the movie. I'm not watching any more of this stuff.
Well, some of that stuff is actually really, really funny because there's like one bit where Carly is, when she's meant to be the drunkard, sort of like, oh, I'm, my father's died and I'm, all like this before she joins the mercenaries. And anyway, so they've got her, sitting in bus terminals and they're actually filming it out on the street. And there's one bit where she's actually doing her bit to camera and all these guys come past who recognize her from wrestling, and they're all there. Oh, Carly, we've done all your videos. Oh. And she actually gets recognised on the street when they're filming. And also some funny stuff like where they actually show where they go in to do battle, the men and the women. But of course, these bikinis are so flimsy. These women dive into battle and start losing their bikini tops.
Oh my God! So,
it's absolutely hilarious to watch. So,
well, I mean, it does look like they had a lot of fun actually making this movie because it's so ridiculous. This is not a movie you can take serious at all. If you take this movie serious, you will absolutely hate it. I know. You will absolutely not like this movie. And this movie was just full of so many things that got on my nerves. And now I'm picking, but it really just bugs the shit out of me. When you see a woman wearing a white shirt with a pink bra, I'm like, who does that?
I know.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I was like, if it was the 70s, I'd give you a pass, because we have our, Mercy running around in her little braless pink top in The Warriors for the entire movie. And I'm okay with seeing her nipples the entire movie, but I can't stand if you're wearing a see-through shirt and a brightly colored bra. I just think that's so tacky. I hate that.
Well, I think it's just a bit, like we said, the outfits are so skimpy for the Amazon tribe. But I think also I suppose they were probably hoping there'd be a whole heap of wrestling fans who would go and watch this because it was Carly's, debut movie. And in a sense that I really do think that they just tried to show as much flesh of Carly that they could conceivably pack into the movie, that's, which I also find very interesting because if they're making a statement about feminism, they really are exploiting her to death.
Oh my God. Yes.
In that sense.
The entire time she's wearing short shorts or she's wearing the pants that are below her belly button, showing off her hip bones. Yikes. The acting in this movie was atrocious.
Oh, it's shocking. It's shocking.
There was only one person in the entire movie where I was like, I believe her performance. Her performance is good. And that was Inara's friend, the one with the baby that they had pizza dinner. That was the only one in the entire movie where I was like, she can actually act. This woman can act. I hope she's in this movie more. Now, unfortunately, we only got a pizza dinner with her for this movie. But everybody else, atrocious. I did not believe one single person's performance in this movie at all.
Well, there are a couple of members of the Amazon tribe who have gone on and are making other films. They actually do they're starting to slowly build careers, but of course they're brand new, so they're starting to build careers.
Right.
I mean, I don't really know how to describe this. I mean, it really is a pile of shit. I mean, there is no doubt it is a pile of shit, but it is a perv's paradise if you want to,
it's a perv's paradise.
Absolutely. If you do like Amazon, like the idea of, people love gladiator movies and people love Amazon, movies. Now, this is not in that style that we got from, Italy and so forth, through the 60s, 70s and 80s, or the gladiator movies, the Amazon movies and so forth. This is a modern piece where it is just an excuse to show as much flesh as humanly possible. And, and in one way, you know what? It's just fun, and I don't care, and I had a great perv session for an hour and a half, I have to admit. I'll be honest, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I was like, that is the, even the homosexual part of me, even the lesbian part of me was just like, all the, eye candiness could not save this movie for me.
Oh, no.
As beautiful as these women were, I hated how badly cast this was. I hated how inaccurate it was. I mean, of course, there's always going to be suspension of disbelief, and I think we're pretty tolerant. I mean, we loved Kung Fury, that short film, and I mean, there's nothing believable about that, and that's okay. But for some reason, some movies like this, it just everything annoyed me, grated on my nerves. I was like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? They're in this fucking helicopter. They're going to fly to this island, as mercenaries to do their paid job. And all of a sudden, a team member just randomly starts strangling her in the helicopter. And I'm like, what the And then, of course, the helicopter crashes. And I'm like, what was the point of that?
Well,
what was the point of that?
Well, I think it's meant to once again show the evilness of men. Oh my goodness. I think
evidently I love men too much because I keep missing that message in this movie.
but you have to remember there is one good man in this movie, and that is the best friend of the dead father. And I won't. Can I give it away in this? Because really, does it matter?
I was going to say this movie actually had a twist in it, and I was like, that's what. I'll just say this movie had a twist.
All right.
I was didn't see that coming. But no, you can go ahead and say it because then I got questions about that.
Okay, yeah. Look, I think for this movie, no one's honestly going to watch this for the storyline. To be truthful, so I don't think if we give the little twist away in this one at the end, it really hurts. Yes. And that is that the friend of the father comes to, find Inara, and one of the comments he makes is that, I've been sent by your father to try to help you. And then you would sort of say, well, he must be pretty evil if his way to help her is by getting, her to join a mercenary group and sending her off on this, hideous expedition to wipe out an indigenous culture and all the rest of it.
Right.
But we find out that that's not what he's actually about because we find out that Inara-The Jungle Girl is in fact the true queen of the Amazons. She was taken. She was taken as a young child from the Amazon queen who was killed by mercenaries 20 years earlier. And she was then taken by the man that would become her father and raised as his own daughter. Now, when the mission comes up to go and then try to finally reconquer these women, what he does is that he does a favor for the father, which is, I will take your daughter back home to Amazonia and I will, and we'll just use the mercenary mission to do that. And not only that, I will take revenge and side with the Amazon women. So we see him at the very end, and that's the twist.
Yeah. So, I mean, I actually did like that twist. That was one of the few redeeming factors about this movie. But the motivational speech, that was just, I'm usually a sucker, to be honest. I mean, I'm usually a sucker for motivational speeches in movies. I usually love that. Anytime they do the whole, we have to stand together and we have to fight, and I usually love that. I couldn't stand it in this movie. Oh, I was just like, shut the fuck up. And then you had the fucking lady interpreting everything she was saying in that fake-ass language, and I was just please don't do the motivational speech. Please stop. Yeah.
I'll put it to you this way, Braveheart it isn't. Independence Day it isn't. Those movies that have those big speeches in it, this movie tries to put in the big speech, we will stand strong, we are women, we will fight for, they are trying to, but it just doesn't work. It really doesn't work.
And also, the lingering shots in this movie was another thing I didn't like, where they would just focus and film somebody doing something for way too long. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that would, okay, she's sitting on the sidewalk with her back against whatever, smoking a cigarette on the street. Okay, we don't need to see that for, 30 seconds. We can see that for a good 5 seconds, move on to something else. Her in the forest with her back against the tree, tying a handkerchief around her knee. We don't need to see that for a minute. We can, move on to something. But I do have to admit, when she is the fucking helicopter crashed and she's, by herself and she's sitting up against a tree and it's dark. And when they did first show one of the Amazonian women in the shadows, that actually did look kind of scary. I was like, ooh, this actually might get kind of intense.
Yeah, that was done all right, actually.
Yeah, I was agree. This might actually get intense. And then I'm like, no.
No.
I do it with, nope.
No. Then it's just back to gratuitous leg shots, bum shots, boob shots, crutch shots.
But there's no nudity. I mean, there's no straight up nudity.
No, there's no nudity at all. It's just bikinis, which are basically, shall we say, pretty much every woman's bikini is a size too small. That could also be brought up.
Or maybe two sizes or three sizes too small.
Too small, yes. But it's still fun. It's still fun.
Yeah, they tried to throw a technology angle out there or some kind of paranormal angle out there for half a second, because they're saying that this is an island surrounded by an unknown electromagnetic field, and it's going to, that's going to affect all the technology. And I'm just kind of like, so I guess is that why the helicopter crashed? Is that what that was supposed to be?
I believe that's meant to be the reason why the helicopter crashed. But there's also a good reason for that. And any fan of Wonder Woman will get what's going on here. Because remember that Wonder Woman is meant to be an Amazonian. Okay, she is meant to be an Amazon woman. But obviously it was a cartoon version, which was, obviously extremely different. But in that, the island where they came from was hidden. Remember, it had a cloak of invisibility, so you couldn't see couldn't see the island. And I think what they were trying to do was play with that idea of Wonder Woman, without actually trying to be too obvious and say we're ripping off Wonder Woman. I think that was sort of what it was. But see, a lot of modern people sort of see Wonder Woman just as a superhero. They don't realise that she is actually meant to be an Amazon woman. So it's but I think that's what all that was about anyway. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So, but but anyway, if you do watch this and you liked it, you can then go out and check out Athena, Goddess of War, which will be the follow up. And look, I have to admit, I mean, all right, the bit of the perv in me must say that, as no matter how bad this movie is, okay, getting to basically see Carly Danger wearing nothing but a micro bikini for an hour and a half was honestly, I didn't see that as being time badly wasted. Because Carly Danger, if you don't know as we said, she's a wrestler and reality star and all this. But if you just Google her, she is this gorgeous redhead woman. She is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, she's really beautiful.
Yeah,
I mean, like I said, the casting in this was so distracting because she's supposed to be this, really strong military woman working as a mercenary, and she's just way too attractive. I'm not saying you can't be attractive and be a mercenary, but in all reality, you're not going to be focused on wearing makeup and, fashionable, hip-hugging jeans.
Mercenaries are honestly generally pretty nasty folk. Although they're not. What is interesting about this too is they do call them mercenaries, and it is an American film. And of course, America doesn't call mercenaries anymore. They call them private contractors. I thought it was very interesting that they went back to the traditional term of mercenaries, and I think that made sense. Is it's like we said, they're meant to be so evil. If you call them private contractors, they don't sound very evil. But when you call them mercenaries, they now sound evil again. So I think that's probably the reason why they went back to the traditional name rather than using the sort of current term, which is used. Although, but then again, I don't know. I mean, that term private contractor, I think it's a very American thing. I think the rest of the world just says mercenaries.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
It was just a political thing to make a certain war look a little bit better. So, I think the term mercenary is still pretty much used in the rest of the world. So, so all right. Is there anything else we should say to wrap up this?
I think we said it. I think we said it on this one.
I think so. But one thing I will say is that if you want to check out some Amazon, sort of style movies, this is not probably the one to start with. There are some, the Italians made some brilliant ones in the 1970s. Yes, they're still exploitation films, but they still got the idea of the original stories and all the rest of it. And they're set in ancient times, and it sort of made sense. This is just a very modern take on Amazonia. So maybe not the best place to start, but then again, maybe you won't be disappointed. Your eyes won't be, put it that way.
Or maybe you want to start with this one because then it can only get better.
True, very true. Start with the worst, and then you can get better from, from there on. So, or how are we going to race it? How are we going to race it?
So, honestly, when I was watching this the whole time, I was like, okay, this is definitely, for me, a bottom 3 contender. Early next year when we do our top 3 films and bottom 3 films, this one has already got a nomination for the bottom 3. And then the entire time I'm going, okay, this movie is a 0. This is a 0. This is a 0. Until the twist, and I'm like, okay, I actually like that. I actually think that's cute. I actually like that. So I'm going to give this, out of a possible 5 Eric Roberts, I'm going to give it a highly coveted 1 Eric. I don't give those out too often. So
a highly coveted 1 Eric.
Yeah,
wow.
I don't give those out too often. So it has to be something special to get a 1.
I'm going to give it 1.5. Because it is absolutely shocking. It does not deserve a passing grade. But then I'm going to have a little thing on the side here, and I'm going to give it 1.5 Erics for the movie itself, and I'm going to give it 28,342 because it's got Carly Danger in a bikini, and that's worth it just for that. Okay.
Yeah, these women do have fantastically fit bodies.
Oh, look, yes. Carly, if you're listening to this podcast, come on the show. We want to talk to you. Well, I do. Yeah. I really do. And,
we think you're gorgeous. Yeah. We think you're gorgeous. We'd love to have you on. And you can tell us what it was like making this movie.
Yes. Oh my God, I would love to speak to her. And dinner's on us. Dinner's on us.
Yes. Exactly.
Dinner's on us.
Exactly.
You
have the choice of Australian outback or Montana mountain goat. Let me know what you want. So
yes, we'll start cooking. So all right. So what's that? A combined score of 2.5 out of 10. Okay. Although we still had the 28,000 for Carly. So so it did have its good moments. All right. Well, I suppose we should move on, and we're going to change countries again. So we will take a quick break. No, we won't, because I always do this. I hit the wrong button. I think this is the button. I hope these are playing properly, because I've got a feeling we've mucked up our settings on this podcast. Because Velvet normally can't hear this stuff, and she can this time. Oh, fingers crossed. We'll be right back. Well, we're back with movie number 3, and we really have a multicultural episode, I think, this podcast, Velvet.
Yes.
Because we've now got, although I don't think a lot of people will realise when they watch it, but this is an Irish-British co-production. But this movie is all filmed in the United States. So I think a lot of people are going to think it's an American movie, but it's actually not. Now, it is from 2016. I was about to say this year. I still haven't got used to that 2017 thing. And it is called I'm Not a Serial Killer, which is an interesting title. And I've got to admit, this movie did not go where I thought it was going to go. And I'm really glad it didn't, because this is... Look, we've talked about it. Okay, we love the mini movie, didn't we, Vel?
Yes.
The other two offerings, look, they might be cults, but they're not all that great. This, though, is a really good film. And it is was written, directed, and produced by Billy O'Brien. And it's the story. Oh, I've got to be really careful how I say this one.
Yeah, so we'll have slight spoilers for this review, but we'll make sure not to give away the main, like, super duper spoiler, because this movie really surprised me. I was like, oh, whoa, like you said, yeah.
Yeah, so look, it's the story. It's set in a small country rural town, I would think. Do they
so like
say
a Midwestern
town, is it?
Like, people in the United States hear that, they know what that means. So like a Midwestern town.
And and it's our main star is a character called John Wayne Cleaver, and I thought, how cool is that? I mean,
and that was an homage to the serial killer John Wayne Gacy. That was definitely done on purpose. Yes, and
who is played by Matt's Records, and it also stars Christopher Lloyd, and also Laura Fraser and Carl Geary, I think, and of course Laura Fraser and Carl Geary are in fact husband and wife in real life too.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
cool. I didn't realize that.
Which is interesting. Because in fact, of our cast here, most of them are actually putting on American accents, because a lot of them are actually Irish and British actors. They're not actually American actors.
And they're very convincing. The accents in this, the acting in this is really spot on. It's really good.
Yeah. It is very good. Now, it follows our character of John, who has been diagnosed as a psychopath, I think.
Yeah.
We would say. And he's currently seen
straight up teenage boy going to counseling for because he has sociopathic tendencies, and basically they're saying he has the potential to become a psychopath if they don't keep him in check. So, the whole trifecta. This kid pisses the bed, starts fires, tortures and kills animals. So, but then you actually find out he's actually a rather likable character as the movie progresses, even though he has these tendencies. And here, I'll let you take over because you're so much better at this than I am.
I don't know about that, but it's it plays with the idea, because of course the idea is that he's incapable of showing empathy. Hence why he's been diagnosed this way. But as the movie goes on, we find that that's not really 100% true. If he's been pushed to the absolute limit, then he does start to show empathy, although it may not be empathy that you and I would understand. But it is empathy, in his world. Now, in this small town, a serial killer is killing off people left, right, and centre. They've basically got this huge, amount of serial killers, or killings, happening. And he, of course, becomes quite obsessed, with this for obvious reasons, and starts to spend time investigating by himself, looking into it. And he will, discover who the killer is. I think it's fair enough. We can say it's not actually him. It's not actually him. And he will
not actually him, because the movie is called I Am Not a Serial
Killer. Yeah. So, and he actually finds out who it is. And it's the movie then really follows this cat and mouse game between him and the actual serial killer. But there's more to it than that. There's a lot more to this serial killer. He's not just a person who is killing because he's a serial killer with all the mental issues and all the rest of it that go with that. No, there's actually a totally different reason why he's killing. And I don't
surprising.
Want to give it away.
That. Exactly.
But this is but this is where, shall we say, a certain level of horror. I'm even going to use this term now, and then I'll leave it after saying this. Sci-fi comes into it, okay? Because there is not only a horror element in this, as you would expect. There is also a sci-fi element to this.
I agree.
Yeah, so but I'll just leave it at that. And so it's actually a really good film. The acting's great. Did we say too? It stars Christopher Lloyd. I don't know if I said that at the start. Who is really good in this. He's really good.
And that's actually why I originally decided that we should definitely review this for the Cult Movie Show, because oftentimes, we focus on the films and, we love our actors. We always try to shout out the names of the actors, etc. But Christopher Lloyd is a special kind of actor in that he is what I consider a cult film actor, because he's one of those actors that every single fucking time I see him, it does not matter what movie he's in, I always think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Back to the Future. I mean, this poor guy, no matter what he does, I will always think of him in those roles. I mean, he's got that iconic cult status. So honestly, when I saw that he was in this movie, I thought he had a bit part. Like, I thought he just played a really small role. Like, I honestly thought maybe it was just kind of a cash grab role, which there's nothing wrong with that. He's an actor. He's getting paid to act. So I thought it was just, every once in a while they just want to pick up a quick check. Because I thought he was just going to play this, this decrepit old man, which is what you think he is at the beginning of the movie. And I was just like, so I didn't really think anything of it till you find out he has a much bigger part in the movie. And I was like, wow, this is really great. Because, I kind of relegate him to, he's done acting. I mean, he still works, but I mean, he's done doing big parts. He's just going to show up occasionally here and there for a bit part, kind of like Danny Glover. We love Danny Glover. We'll always, think of him for the iconic movies that he's done, but he does a lot of cash grabbing. And again, nothing wrong with that. He's an actor. He's working. He's getting paid to act. Nothing wrong with that. But he does a lot of, small ass roles, and you can tell he's just going in for an easy paycheck, doing his job and leaving. And I thought that's what Christopher Lloyd was doing in this. But then his performance in this is so good. And I was like, this is, we need to talk about this movie because we have an actual iconic cult film actor doing a really good role and not doing a cash grab role. So that's why I chose this.
Yes. It is, he is actually the supporting actor. I mean, the star is Matt's Records, but Christopher Lloyd is actually the supporting actor. So he's second billing, on this movie. So, and it's not, and as we said, it's not second billing, just, like we spoke about, what was it? UFO with,
exactly, like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Sean Pertwee, like how these, popular or well-known actors will show up in a movie for 5 seconds, collect a paycheck, and leave. And, like I said, they're working. That's fine. And that's what I thought Christopher Lloyd was doing in this one, and he's so not.
He's good. And he's really good in this. He plays the character so well. I mean, he's this, I think people are going to sort of get by now what role he's playing. So I don't think.
Yeah. But you know what? When I saw this movie, though, I still thought he was just doing a little small bit part. And when they do that reveal, I was like, oh shit! Like, did it catch you off guard? Were you surprised?
Well, yes. There is a scene in this movie. Once again, I'll be very careful.
Like, we'll do some slight spoilers.
Yeah, but there is this sort of like
spoilers.
Yeah, there is this homeless man who is sort of being watched by John Wayne Cleaver, by John, and he's and he sort of is suspicious that maybe this is the serial killer, and he meets up then obviously with the Christopher Lloyd character. I've forgotten the name of who he plays.
Let me get it for you. Crowley.
Crowley, yeah.
Christopher Lloyd plays Crowley.
And he follows them because he's actually scared that Crowley is going to become the next victim.
Yeah.
And what he sees will change everything. And it's not and it's not just the fact that he witnesses a murder. We get to find out this is not an ordinary murder. There is something very, very, and this is where we get into the sci-fi element. There is something else going on here.
Yes. My God.
There will be, now we know that all the way through and it gets played with all the way through, but it doesn't really go to any extreme level. But once again, I can't give the ending away of this because that would be just unfair. But I will say there is an incredible reveal at the end. That is all I'm going to say. I won't say what it is or anything like that.
Exactly, because we're dealing with a serial killer here, so this is definitely a movie for people who, pardon my vernacular, but for people who enjoy serial killer culture. I'm one of those people. I love movies about serial killer. I enjoy documentaries because it's always fascinating how there's this faction of humanity that, you know, from day to day, they function as a pretty normal person, but there's that one piece of them that's totally fucking psycho and does some terrible, horrible shit. And this movie shows a perfect example of that. How you just the last person you would expect to be doing these horrendous things. But then this movie kicks it up another notch to justify why this person is a serial killer. And it's such a fantastic reveal. I thought it was so smoothly done. Well, and this movie Yeah,
it's a little bit like... So I'm just going to pause myself for a second. Just if you just want to keep talking for a second, if that's all right, Velvet.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Woo! Oh my goodness. Are you okay? Oh, you're fine. Yeah, I heard it.
God, did that go out on air?
I don't know.
Oh.
I thought you paused the show and you were...
Oh, my God. I'm sorry.
Okay, look at the timestamp. Look at the timestamp, and maybe you can edit it out.
Oh, my God. I can't believe... I'm sorry. I was having a drink, and you know how sometimes it goes down the wrong way?
It went down the wrong pipe.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry, everybody. Oh, my goodness. I thought I'd muted that.
I thought you would pause the show, so I was like waiting. I'm sorry.
I apologise to everybody. Listening to myself barf up a lung is not exactly what you want to get on a podcast.
You know what? That ties in. Once people watch this movie, though, that'll tie in so perfectly.
Actually, it will. But what else? Okay, look, we're moving on. I sincerely apologise, everybody.
I was saying that the ultimate reveal was, I thought it was so smoothly done, and I was really like, for me, it really didn't hit home till it hit that part, and I was like, oh shit! Now I'm coughing.
Oh, at least
myself.
Oh, at least
oh my God, it's contagious.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I think it's this movie.
But there's
a lot of coughing in this movie.
There is, but it's a little bit like the very original movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator. And the thing that I always loved about that in the reveal was that the alien in that was not about world domination or anything like that. It was the alien in that was actually not really any different to us. It was it's like you get people who go off into the countryside, to hunt a deer or to hunt rabbits or something like that, and that's all the Predator was. It was just a guy on a hunting trip. Like he quite literally left his wife and kids and flew off to Earth to do some hunting before he flew back to go to work on Monday, you know.
No, it's true.
And in this movie, there's almost a similar sort of thing that obviously it's nothing like Predator with the aliens and all that sort of stuff, but there is a similar thing that this serial killer is not actually evil.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, I think it's such a cool story. And I love how the movie really does go in a totally different direction from what you expect, because you really do think it's going to be just this cat and mouse of, this kid found the serial killer, now he's going to chase the serial killer around, and eventually he's going to kill the serial killer is what you think happens. I mean, you think it's actually going to be a very cut and dry plot, but there's some other elements that get added in, and it ends up being just not quite what you expect. And I was just like, wow, okay. Because at first I thought it was, actually you can say this. There's definitely a very strong metaphor in there. I'll say that. I don't want to say what the metaphor is because that might give away the twist. But let's just say that, you know, like in UFO, we were kind of like, are we the aliens? So in
yes.
in this movie, I'm going to say, are we the monsters? But
Yes.
you have to watch the movie to get what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yes.
But I thought that was a great metaphor that's also in there.
Well, it brings up a really interesting point, doesn't it? Because it's like, for instance, you take a lion, okay? Now, a lion goes and kills a gazelle to eat it, right? That's part of nature. That's part of the environment.
Right.
But then we take us. Well, we slaughter animals to create clothing, to eat food, and all the rest of it. Does that make us evil? Now, okay, all right. I'm a vegetarian, but I mean, there are. But I mean, there will be, especially like people in the vegan community, for argument's sake, who would argue that yes, we are as a species evil because we do all of this. And this movie kind of touches on this subject. You know, it actually kind of touches on that subject that if you were to kill an animal for food, and please don't get me wrong, he does not eat them. All right, that is not what I'm trying to say happens. Okay. All right, it's not what I'm trying to say happens. But
if you kill something to serve a greater purpose,
yes,
like, for survival, exactly. Does that make you evil? Yeah, this movie really does raise that question.
Look, it's a really interesting film. I also thought too that Max Records was great in this. Yeah, he was really good. He played the character of this, very troubled teenager, because he is
really detached.
Yeah,
really detached, very totally lacking in empathy. Oh, and I mean, the very beginning, you find out that he works in the family business.
Oh,
he works as a mortician, so he helps clean up corpses and get them ready for funerals, open casket funerals, which is very common in the United States. I know not every country does that. And so he's very desensitized to the whole blood, guts, piss, and shit thing that you deal with dead bodies.
Yes.
So yeah,
in fact, he's quite fascinated by it. He's very much fascinated in how the human body works, all the bits and pieces. Look, I think he plays it. I think he plays it really well. Also, I think the mother, who's played by Laura Fraser, I think she does it very well because she's living with this son who shows no emotion to her, no love, no, or anything like that, but they're still somehow a family.
Right.
So that's a really interesting sort of, view, to watch this. And also, Carl Gary, who plays
Dr. Nevlin, the therapist.
and he is, he's really quite good as well, in the way he is trying to, obviously, not make John better. I mean, he can't cure John, but trying to help John so he can live within the world, so he can still be a member of society, even though he, has this mental disorder. It's very interestingly done. It's also interesting too that the town doesn't, apart from it, there's a bully at school that likes to pick on him and stuff like that, which backfires dramatically for the bully. But it's interesting how the town has sort of accepted John.
Yes.
Like the town hasn't sort of said, "Oh, there's a psycho who lives in our town."
No. Yeah, it's a small enough community that everybody kind of knows everybody, so you know everybody's quirks, and you just kind of accept them. Like, oh yeah, that's just the way so and so is.
Yes, and but we I think we touched on very earlier the accents because obviously this is an international cast, and of course it's only Carl Gary who actually uses his Irish accent.
Yes.
Everybody else will put on an American accent. So, but you were saying that you were pretty happy with those accents.
Oh yeah, the accents are excellent in this. Like, I actually did not even know this was an international production until you told me, and I looked it up while we were on the air, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even know. I thought this, because when you said it was international, I was like, oh, was this made in Canada? Like, I had no clue.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, the English, the American English accents are excellent in this, because sometimes people put on, their accents that are not their natural ones, and it sounds horrible. Not the case in this movie. Very well acted. Everybody's very convincing. They fooled me.
Well, it's not bad. I mean, if you think about it, was it Laura Fraser is Scottish? So she, and I'll tell you what, she sounded awfully American to me.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good. So no, look, I really, really liked this. There's I definitely would say to people, check this out, and not just if you're into suspense or if you're into, that idea of the, the serial killer and all that sort of things. I know those sorts of movies, as you were saying, Velvet, are very popular. But this movie adds another element, and
it's totally not what you expect. It's not what you expect at all. And I was also surprised to find out that this movie is actually it's based off a series of young adult novels called "I Am Not a Serial Killer," and the author of these series, Dan Wells, actually has a brief cameo in the movie as a police officer towards the end of the film. So I was like, oh wow, wow. So I'm kind of curious, like. Young adult novels are usually an interesting genre because they're kind of like, as they imply, they're usually written in a very simplistic way, so they really appeal to teenagers. But then again, the subject matter is usually very adult. So the fact that it's dealing obviously with serial killings, so I'm kind of actually curious to check it out myself as an adult, because I'm like, this actually might be kind of cool to read, even though it's not quite my age range.
But that doesn't matter. I mean, I not so much with books, I have to admit, but I do know sometimes with some TV series especially, I've by accident caught an episode of a TV show which was clearly aimed at 16-year-olds or something like that. And I've sort of thought, that was really good, I might actually have a look, and I've actually watched the entire season.
Yeah,
because,
I mean, sometimes it transcends, age, and like I said, again, the whole young adult novels deal with very adult subject matter, but it's written in a more simplistic way so that it appeals to a younger audience. But obviously, because of the adult matter, because they're talking about murders and they're talking about sex and that kind of stuff, it's obviously going to appeal to people who are also much older.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes. No. That's exactly right. And this one was pulled off extremely well. So no, I'm a big fan of this movie, and I really would highly recommend it. It's I must admit, though, at the start, it is a little bit slow until we start to really realise what's going on, and then the cat and mouse game begins.
Right.
Now, once that happens, the movie, you will be hooked. But I must admit, the start of this movie, the first 15 minutes, even maybe 20 minutes, could have, I think, have been maybe cut down.
Right.
There's maybe a little bit too much introduction of the characters. We didn't need really maybe quite so much. But
and I think they also do that to kind of give you a red herring, to kind of make you think you know what the story is, so that when they start introducing the other elements and what's really going on, you're caught off guard. Because I was like, oh, I honestly didn't see that coming. And then again, towards the end, I'm like, okay, now I really was not expecting that.
Yes. Yes.
But it's in a good way. They're good surprises. It really makes the movie.
Oh, look, yeah, most definitely. It's no, this is a good one. Yeah, this is this is not Inara-The Jungle Girl. This is there is a budget to this. The writing is very good. The acting is very good. The cinematography is very good. It's been shot very well. It's got a full level of suspense. You do get caught up, in these characters. Will they all live? Won't they all live? It really is. It's very well done, and I really do highly recommend it in its. I was going to say in its genre, but of course this is to some degrees a cross-genre movie.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, I agree. It is cross-genre. Totally.
And I have to admit, I love cross-genre.
I do too.
Yes. I really, really do. And we've spoken about a number of cross-genre films because, the British are fantastic, at the moment about doing cross-genre. And I want to do more of them. I really do. Because I love it when they do it. It just really spices life up.
Totally. No, I think it's great. Yeah, I really enjoyed this and definitely worth checking out. It's available on American Netflix. I Am Not a Serial Killer. And for the rest of you, just, where you normally find movies, you'll probably be able to find it.
Well, it's actually, just quickly, we should actually say, with all of the films, one of the things, it was in fact pointed out to me a couple of weeks ago and then I just forgot about it, is that we haven't been pointing out where you can find a number of these movies. So with this one, as you said, Velvet, it's on US Netflix.
Yes.
What your individual national Netflix will be like, who knows? Because they vary so much. So that is an issue. It is, however, available internationally on iTunes. You can actually get it on either rent it or download it on iTunes. So it is out there for people to see.
This one's definitely worth the rental fee, or if you like the movie, it's worth owning. But yeah, it's definitely worth the rental fee if that ends up being your option for viewing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And the other thing too is, because we didn't mention the other one, so we probably should just quickly say, Inara-The Jungle Girl, the only way to view this at the moment is on Amazon. Now, you can, of course, go and buy the DVD and wait, a few days and it'll arrive, but you don't have to do that. It is available on Amazon Prime. And Amazon Prime, of course, has now gone international.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, cool.
And I actually had a look, although I actually own a DVD copy of this. Yes, don't judge me, people. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me.
When we first started doing this show, you sent me a fucking message and you took a picture of it and you're like, I want to do this movie.
I know. Yes, I do actually have it, but again, I've also got the Blu-ray of Showgirls. So, but it is available on Amazon Prime, and I think the rental is honestly like about $1.99 or something.
Right, yeah, I think that's it. I saw it too. That's how much it was.
Yeah, so, and seriously, for $1.99, you won't be disappointed. It's actually worth about that. But we're not going back to that movie. Obviously, Kung Fury is available on YouTube legitimately. So
YouTube legitimately, yes, their own channel, as well as US Netflix. So
US Netflix, that's correct. Wild Planet, look, there are a lot of, shall we say, non-copyright versions floating around the internet. However, you can buy it on Amazon. It is available on Amazon. As I said, it also readily does the round of the was it Turner Classic Movie Channel?
Yes.
It is available there. But this movie is from 1966. I don't really know where the copyright honestly stands. This is what I'd honestly say if you want to bootleg it, who gives a shit? Seriously. It's from 1966, people. It's a spaghetti sci-fi. I really think they've already made all the money out of it they're going to. Most of the cast are dead, for God's sake. Totally. So who really cares in that sense? I don't often say breach copyright, but on that one, I'd say who cares. So anyway, back to I am not a serial killer. Velvet. Should we rate this, or is there anything else you wanted to bring up about it?
I've said everything I want to say about it, unless you have any closing words on it.
No, I think I've summed it up really well. I mean, I think this is just it's really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, if it seems like we kind of were vague about a lot of things in this movie, it's because it does have some surprises, some twists in it. We don't want to ruin those for you guys, since this is a relatively recent film. It's just from last year, 2016. So as we said before, it's currently available on United States Netflix, if you want to check that out. And I'm sure you can also get it on Amazon Prime, I think.
And iTunes, I think we said before too.
And iTunes, there we go, iTunes. Yep. But I love this movie, and I honestly, when I watched it a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, we have to review this movie because Christopher Lloyd honestly blew me away in it, and I was like, oh, it's so cool to see him in a movie that's not a cash grab, it's a legitimate good performance, and also this is a cult actor. This is a cult movie icon. And I was like, how cool is it that we can review a recent movie that he's in that's really good? So, so with that being said, out of a possible 5 Eric Roberts, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 4.5 Erics.
I'm going to do exactly the same. Gee, we're actually really on par this show. Have we had some sort of psychic mind meld or something? Because
I was scared with Inara. I thought you were going to give that shit like a 5. I was like,
no, no. I mean, look, Sheena, it ain't. No. I've already said why I like it. I'm not going to make people think I'm even pervier than I really am. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm not going down that path. I'm not going down that path anymore. I've already coughed my guts up on air. I mean, people are already saying, what is it? I am not a serial killer. Can I just say to everyone listening, Warren is not a serial killer.
Exactly. Yeah. He's not. No.
At
least we think he's not.
No. Anyway.
No, I am not a serial killer of the movie. That's so cool. We both rate it 4.5 because, this is really excellent. I didn't think it would be that good, but this is excellent.
No, it really is. It really is. All right, well, I think that's basically a wrap for podcast 31. We had some interesting ones this week. There's no doubt about that. And we had some fun. We had some technical issues, and we just made. And also, I made half the audience throw up, so that was pretty good. So I think it's time for shout outs as usual.
Yes. So I just want to say really quick, this was a slow week on social media for us, but we will catch up with everybody. We will be responding to your emails and your tweets and your private messages on Twitter. So please do continue to tweet us, email us, and private messages. So you can find us on Twitter at Cult Movie Show. You can tweet us any movies that you'd like us to review. If you have a short film or what we like to call a mini movie that you want us to review, feel free to email us at cultmovieshow@gmail, cultmovieshow@gmail.com, or you can also private message us on Twitter at Cult Movie Show. And we also have an Instagram. Again, I've been super behind on the Instagram. It is like that sometimes, but you know what? I can't use the January excuse anymore. So
no, we're out of that now, aren't we?
Look forward to getting caught up in February. On our social media. So those of you that have emailed us recently and contacted us with your requests for film reviews, as well as those of you that have mini movies that you want us to review, we do have you in the queue, and we will be in contact with you to let you know when your episode will air. So
most definitely. Yeah. Remember too that you've got a couple of listening choices, either iTunes or YouTube. Both of them are simply the Cult Movie Show.
Right.
Pretty straightforward. Is that it? Have we mentioned everything?
I think that's it.
We mentioned. Of course. Remember, you can of course follow Velvet on her Twitter account.
I'm over here blowing my nose. I've been all of a sudden I got allergies all of a sudden during the episodes. Now I'm getting spacey. So now I'm forgetting stuff. So thank you. Yes, I forgot. Yes, I do have a Twitter.
Yes, so you can of course follow Velvet. It is of course. I'll try to do it the way Velvet does it. Here we go. It is OMG, it's Velvet. I still reckon one of the coolest Twitter handles there is. So you can, of course, follow Velvet, but of course, remember a little bit adult, so please be over 18.
Yes.
You can follow me. I am Martini Superdry if you wish. There's not much on there apart from photographs of me playing with model trains. But I should warn people, I have lately been getting quite political on my Twitter, so if you're not interested in me insulting Donald Trump, maybe don't follow me, okay? Because I have been quite actively insulting the Orange King.
But if you're just not into politics at all, but you love movies, you just follow
the Cult Movie Show. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. You don't have to follow the individual accounts. Because, there's pretty much nothing movie on them. So I think that is pretty much a wrap.
Yeah, totally. This is a great one, and I can't wait to see what happens next week.
Oh, most definitely. I am looking forward to that. I've got a few ideas in the back of my mind.
Oh, goody.
I'm going to see if I can find something worse for...
oh God.
I want to see...
He is a serial killer, guys.
I want to see if I can get you to vote an actual 0. So.
Oh God! Well, we jokingly said in our top and bottom show. Oh, I shouldn't say it like that. Sounds very weird. Our best of worst of show. There we go. That we were going to try to find some more crazy classic what the fuck Japan cinema to weird each other out. So we might have to start getting on that challenge.
I think so. We haven't done. Oh no, we did a Japanese movie over Christmas, didn't we? I think was it Christmas or
yeah, because I jokingly said that Tetsuo the Iron Man was revenge for Weather Woman. So.
Yes.
So if you guys have no idea what the hell we're talking about, just check out our archive of awesome episodes. You'll see we've done a plethora of movies. We've done cult classics, we've done creature features, we've done horror, and we've also done really recent movies such as I Am Not a Serial Killer, which just came out last year. So.
Well, no, that's exactly right. I mean, as we said, this is podcast 31. Although I would recommend to people probably don't start listening until about podcast 8. But I think the first 8 podcasts were really just test podcasts.
Those are him going, "Is this on? Can you hear me?"
They are pretty much just me trying to learn how to do this shit. So I wouldn't honestly worry about them. But start at about 8 and work your way through, or work your way backwards, whichever way you like.
Right on.
All right,
yeah.
I think. All right, okay, that's it. That's a wrap. And
yes. All right.
We will leave you as we always do with Alana Evans and Perfect. See you next week.
Next week.